Hello everybody, Andy here again, out in the lovely English countryside, and one of those days when you think, isn't it good to be alive? Now, this particular video is not an easy video to make because one of those that I'm just talking out loud and maybe it'll get shown, because yesterday I found out that someone that I knew had taken their own life. They'd hanged themselves, and what brings that home, shocking as that is, what brings that home to me even more, that this person was 18 years old. This person was a very good friend of my son's. This person is someone that I knew from an early age. He used to come around our house, was very good friends with my son. They used to go to school together. They were at school together for most of their lives, I think. Okay, they'd grown apart, but they were still in contact. And that sort of thing really brings these sort of things home to you. The inevitable questions come out of why. Yes, there are indications, which obviously I'm not going to go into here as to why it happened, but nothing drastic. It's not a drinks, drugs type of thing or anything like that. One of those things that you might think of. We heard a rumour a couple of days ago that he died. We didn't know the circumstances. You know what it's like these days with the way that the internet and text messages and all that. Word had got out somehow, and all the kids started texting each other because it was a shock. But it was only yesterday that I found out the circumstances around the death and the cause of death. It's tragic as it is. If someone dies in an accident or something like that, you can maybe take that a little bit easier. But when you find out that someone of that young age has actually taken their own life, I find that very hard. And mate, I don't know why, but this is the second person in 6 months that I've known who've died, taken their own life in the same way. The other person was in their 30s, but that was a big enough shock as well. But when it's someone like that, and you have to tell your son, okay, my son had heard the rumours that this particular person was dead. It was me yesterday morning. You had to tell him how it had happened. And what do you say to someone like that? That really brings out the parent in you in some ways. You have to tell your son that a good friend of theirs has taken their own life. And inevitably you start to think about your own children. My wife told my daughter, who's 15, who knew this particular person as well, because as I said, they'd been around our house quite a lot and lived literally just around the corner. And it was a shock to her. Her first words were, why? Why indeed? What? I mean, an accident or even some other causes of death. I deal with fatalities, should we call them, in the suicides, I suppose, people taking their own lives in a different way. I deal with that. But in some ways, that can be more of a spur of the moment type of thing. But with this, when you hang yourself or take your life in that particular way, it's premeditated. It might be, excuse me, it might be not done over too long a time span, but it takes planning, it takes effort, and I just wonder why. What gets people into that state? I'm not knocking the guy at all, you know. It's very hard, but you do wonder, why do these things? This is someone who was 18 years old, had the rest of their life in front of them. We can probably all think of other examples. I hope you haven't been involved with one. I hope you haven't had to sort of deal with it in one way and talk to your children about it. Because I said to my son, first off, I said he'd more or less prepared himself because of, as I said, the rumours going around. But I said to him, you might not realise this, but this is going to affect you. This is going to affect you in some way or other, because he was a good friend of yours, maybe more in the past, but you've grown up with him, he's your age. Ultimately, you're going to think, why? What on earth could have brought him to do this? I don't think my son necessarily believed that, but I said, you know, you need to talk to people, and that's the problem. And both of the people that I'm talking about that I know who have committed suicide have both been men, boys, men, young men. Whether that is something, I don't know, something my wife have been talking about. Obviously this has affected the whole family, as you can imagine. And my wife works at a school. This particular child went to that school as well with my son, etc. So it's affected all these people asking exactly the same questions as I'm asking. And we started to talk about, why is it boys that tend to do this? Maybe it isn't, but that in my experience it is. Is it because us males aren't easy to, we don't let things out, we don't talk about things? Maybe that's one reason I do this, is because it enables me to talk about these things, maybe to other people, But as I said before, I consider this to be an outlet, a cathartic experience sometimes. You're getting these things out, like recording this video, whether it will ever get shown. It's for me, partly, but if it's good enough, I should put it out there because I think it's important. Think of your children. That's the first thing me and my wife thought about ourselves, is trying to say to our son, if you ever get in a situation where you even consider that type of thing, that your life is that bad, please say something. You need to have that relationship with your children. I said I'm not going into the circumstances of the other deaths, but whether that was available there, I don't know. I honestly don't know. But it's a shocking thing. It's a shocking thing. Any life taken, no matter how old you are, is a shock, I think. But sometimes you can see, you often think, you know, it's made me think about, would there be any circumstances where I would even consider that? I find that hard to believe. I've never ever been in that sort of situation in the past, and I hope I never am. The only circumstances I could possibly think of, if I was terminally ill or something like that, incapable of doing things. But this was a person, both people, in the prime of their life, one in their mid-30s, one only 18-year-old, perfect health, no health worries or anything like that, and yet they choose to take their life, and in the same way as well. So, a shocking video. Hopefully this might provoke you, if you've got children, if you've got people who think might be vulnerable, to talk to them, to try and be open with them, discuss this type of things. You can't hide these type of things if it affects you, like this has. We try to be as open as we possibly can. Say to my son, say to my daughter, if you ever feel something happens that changes your life drastically, that even makes you think anything like that, please say something. Please talk to us. We want you to be able to talk. Men don't find it as easy, and that's something. Men have got this inbuilt thing where it's the macho thing, where it's not good to cry, it's not good to talk about our feelings. That's rubbish. We need to do it. We need an outlet the same way that anybody else does. And if we don't, we bottle it up, and then who knows what might happen in the future. So there you go. Not a nice video to put on, but I wanted to talk about this partly for my own benefit, but partly also that if you're out there, you know people who might be vulnerable, please talk to them, because they might not feel able to talk to you, but maybe you can open that discussion. You might be able to see someone, and you might be a counsellor for them. You might be that outlet that lets them put out their feelings, if only part of them, and just takes them away from that edge. Anyway, that's my thoughts on that. I'd love to know if anybody else has got anything, wants to talk about this in any other way, puts videos up or comments or something, because we might have been there ourselves. There might be people out there, older people, who've even thought about this in the past. Talk to people, talk to your friends, talk to your family. Just about any decent person will only be too happy to listen if they felt that you felt anything like that yourself. So there you go. Thanks for your time, and I shall be speaking to you again.